My name's Christina Lamb. I'm Chief Foreign Correspondent for the Sunday Times in London, and my most recent books are Najin, the story of a Syrian refugee. Well, actually I was asked to write Malala's story by Malala and her family. I'd been going to Pakistan for years and they were looking for somebody who knew Pakistan and also was a woman, I think, ideally, and could sort of bridge the West and Pakistan. And also her father I had interviewed years before, and so he knew me, and that's why they approached me. I think of myself as a storyteller, so I'm trying to tell stories of people that then explain some bigger issue that people might not otherwise be interested in. So Malala's story, for example, told the story of how the Taliban emerged in Pakistan, and Pakistan's military intelligence had encouraged jihadi groups, and if I'd written a book about that, I don't think it would have sold very many copies, but telling that story through Malala and what happened to her was something that was much more accessible to people. I wanted to be a novelist actually when I started out, and I went to be a journalist really to travel and to have some adventures. Actually, the very first place I went to as a journalist was the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan when the Russians were in Afghanistan, and I started to think that I couldn't possibly write stories as good as what people were telling me, and I wanted to write those stories, and ever since that's really what I've done. I guess what I do is sort of narrative non-fiction, so some of it you could read almost like a novel, and so I'm trying to bridge that gap in a way and make difficult issues and faraway things more interesting to people. All the books that I've written, I've known the places very well before I started writing the books. So whether it was my most recent book, Najin, which is the story of a Syrian refugee who travelled from Aleppo to Cologne in Germany in a wheelchair. I'd actually been covering the refugee crisis for a long time and had been to all the places that she went to as a refugee, and I was fascinated, how it worked to be a refugee. How do you find which way to go? How do you find a people smuggler? How do you find a boat? What do you do about food and shelter and clothes and money? And these were kind of things I couldn't really write in my journalism, but actually in a book you could tell that story, and so I was looking for somebody that I could tell the story through. So I think it's very important to know the places and the stories before I write them, but I'm looking for people within those places to tell the story through. SriLankan Airlines was great. I'd never flown SriLankan Airlines before, and I had a great trip. I would definitely fly them again, and I would love to come back to Sri Lanka again. I'd never been here before. I did go whale watching this morning and saw lots of blue whales and dolphins, and it was incredible. I think Sri Lanka is a beautiful country. People are very friendly and hospitable, and incredible nature that there is.